Last time on the FXNT Modpack, I made this mega factory, which is less of a mega factory and more of just a big old building with a secret basement underneath. And that's because I haven't actually built any of the things inside it that need building. All of the processing equipment and factory stuff that we're going to be building in here. I still need to do it. But regardless, I still think it's an impressive build. I absolutely love the style of it, and I love the basement as well, which inside here we're going to be having all sorts of stuff for, well, workshop things mainly because I don't have a very good workshop. In fact, my workshop's rubbish. See? This is rubbish. All I've got is a press, a little chopping thing, and, well, a die mixer, and then downstairs I've got a couple of bits. I've got a washer and a smelter, a mixer to make brass. I've got a few things, but it's very slow and it's not particularly good. So yes, underneath that big old factory that we're going to be building today, I also want to have a big old workshop. But before we get to that, we need to figure out what's going to be going in that factory. And if you've not been watching the last couple of episodes, then this is a little bit of a recap for you. So, hopping over here to look at my clipboard, we can see that this is going to, of course, be a sand factory, turning gravel into sand to generate sandstone and smooth sandstone, as well as using that sand to make all of the different types of glass and some windows, as well as clay and bricks and salt sand, Scoria, Scorchia, and maybe concrete. I'm really not that fussed about concrete, to be honest with you, because I never use it. So yeah, I've got a whole bunch of work to do, squeezing a big old factory into a relatively small space. But don't forget, I don't need millions of all of those items because this world is just for me. I don't need to make enough blocks to feed an entire army. And I say feed loosely, of course, you don't eat concrete. Or at least you shouldn't. I'm sure someone does out there, but, well, people be people. Anyway, on with making this factory then. Where are we going to start? We should probably start with my Create backpack and look at what sorts of machines we need to make. Oh, and we should probably look at our source of gravel, which is currently this ender chest, which is tied to my gravel factory, which I'm now going to hop over to. This gravel factory, which turns all of my cobblestone into gravel and andesite, and it looks like it's stopped, which should hopefully mean it's very full of lots of things. So let's just go in here and have a look. Yes, we've got 294 gravel and 193,000 andesite. This factory works well. Right, with us having plenty of gravel then, we need to... Oh, hang on a minute. Oh, wait a minute. The problem is, as soon as we start using this gravel, we're not going to generate any more. And that's because this factory completely relies on how much andesite we're generating, which means if we've got too much andesite, the machine won't turn on to generate gravel. So I need to fix that. Currently, we've got a couple of systems in place. We've got a line here which just takes the cobblestone from our cobblestone generator, and that's currently locked off because, well, we don't need any more cobblestone. We've got 2.8 million of it. The gravel comes through these chutes here, as well as one of these chutes over here, and the other chute goes straight through these crushing wheels in order to make flint, in order to make our andesite. So what we're going to need in here is an AND gate or an OR gate. I can't remember which one we need, but we basically need to turn on the cobblestone machine if we need gravel or we need andesite. Well, that spells it out. We need an OR gate. And that's relatively easy to do. But before I do anything else, first of all, I'm going to have to smash my way in behind these once again, craft myself a threshold switch, grab myself a handful of redstone links, and some other bits of redstone as well would be quite handy here, as well as some andesite casing, why not? We're going to stick the threshold switch on the back of the gravel box. We're going to set this to, well, the same as the other ones. 3,000 stacks should do it. Then we need to stick a redstone link on the back of that. We'll call this one cobble gravel, and I'm going to change the other one from cobble redstone to cobble andesite. We can leave the cobble one as it is. Then we can just box this in like I did the other ones. Have a quick nap outside, and then set about sorting out this OR gate. So what we need to do is come through here, figure out what we use to actually turn the andesite machine off, and that was this one here, which basically says, if the andesite box is full, turn that redstone link on, which turns this redstone torch off, which basically locks everything to do with the cobblestone generator, which is all of that stuff over there. So what we need to do down here at the bottom is actually turn this into an OR gate instead of just one for that one. So I guess first of all what we should do is actually set this to the right thing like that and just make sure that's actually going to connect. and then figure out how I make an OR gate. There's a couple I can never remember which way round this is. One of them, you have the redstone links on the front like this, and then you have some redstone across the top like that, and a redstone torch on the back, and that means if either of these have a signal, that redstone torch is going to go off. That's an OR gate. I did it first time. The other way of doing this is to have a redstone torch at the top there, redstone torch on the top there, and then you have a bit of redstone in the middle and one of those there. And now both of those have got to go off in order to put that redstone torch on. That's an AND gate. We don't want that. We want the other one. So what we're going to do here is pop that down there, get rid of that for a minute, which is going to turn everything on. Stick another one of those in the middle there, stick those across there, stick our second redstone link on the top. In fact, we don't even need this to be 3 blocks wide. We can just stick our redstone link on there. This, of course, is going to be for cobble and gravel, which is lit because... Why is that one lit but the other one's not? Wait a minute. What's going on here? Oh, this one's inverted. Ah, okay. Right, in that case, let's uninvert that one. So now they should be both on. Yes, they are. They're both on. So now all we need to do is get a signal from this up to these, which is the easiest said than done. If I moved everything across a bit, that would be a lot easier. Just have cobble drill there instead of cobble drill there. Extend that redstone dust across there. Then I need to move this one. Make this one cobble and andesite. Put that into receive mode. Put the redstone dust across the top. Pop a redstone torch there, stick a block there, put another redstone torch there and another block there, and now that should do everything I want it to do, but backwards. That's not ideal. No, it doesn't like doing that, does it? Okay. What about if we use a bit of glass to get that up there? No. Okay, what if we use a redstone? No. Okay, what if we use a slab there? And connect? No, that doesn't work either. I want to connect you. I'm going to have to move you down one more block. Oh, this is so annoying. Fine. In that case, you could be cobblestone mechanical bearing. We'll have the redstone over to here. You can go away. You could be cobble and gravel. We'll have that redstone over to there, and then you can go away. And now we've got enough room to make a little staircase. Excellent. So we just need one of those there, one of those there. That would be better off being glass, like that. There we go. Now we should be able to staircase this up. There we go. That locks everything off because everything's full. So if we look out here, everything should be currently off, which it is. And then if we break this redstone that's on that glass there, everything then should turn on. It all works perfect. Why is it not turn on? They're all off, so all of this should be on. Why are you not working, mate? Overstressed? What? How can it be overstressed? My power station run out? Why is my power station run out? It's got lava, it's got water, it's got size. All right, let's just disconnect things and see if my power station comes back on. It does. Plug that back in. Have we run out of lava? No, we've still got plenty of lava. But that blaze burner is empty. Why are you empty, sir? You and the middle one are empty. We'll put you back in. You should get fed in a minute. Any minute now. There we go. I just had to spin the pumps round. Apparently, the pumps weren't happy not being pumped properly. Okay, so now we're generating... There we go. We're generating enough stuff now. I should be able to plug it all back in. What? Why? You weren't having a problem before. What? Have I got too many things plugged in here? Is this the problem if I got rid of a couple of crushing wheels? Okay. Oh, no. Oh, dear. Yeah, we don't want to do that. Seriously? How did it work in the last episode? How are we not generating enough power? Now it's stopped. What? That's capable of generating 147,000. Is it because I'm only using 8 steam engines instead of 9? Fine. I throw another one on then, somewhere. I can't... there. We'll put one in there. No one will ever know. Steam engine, stick it in there. Stick a shaft on it. Bring it down here. Get a bit of encased chain drive. Bring that across there like that. Put my stressometer back on. Okay, so now we've got a little bit more power. We can't have been that close there, but this was all working perfectly, all plugged in before. That's really weird. Anyway, now I should be able to put these back on. Yes, I can. Then I can throw these back in. And now if I put the redstone back, there we go. That should turn everything off outside. It did. Now, if we run out of gravel, this machine won't go on because I've created an AND gate. How I manage that? We need this inverted. Yes, if I invert them, it will become an OR gate. Let's just hop around here. Put that on inverted. Put that on inverted. Now everything should have started back up again, which it has. Okay, that's good that worked. Let's go back in here and close the door because bad things are going to come. And then let's just head back in here And what we need to do now is just change this slightly to throw a redstone torch on there. And then if we do that and that, they're just inverted again. No, I wanted the other way around. Okay, we'll just do that and extend that way. Now that should work. So now, if either one of these runs out, that redstone torch will turn off, unlocking all of that, which will activate all of that again. Whew, we got there eventually. So now that we've got an infinite source of gravel, we need to use all of that gravel and turn it into sand. And of course, for that, we're going to need a whole bunch of crushing wheels, and we also need to lay out how we're going to have the rest of this factory. As you can see, I've already put in a second floor around this point here just to give us some more space, although I'm not sure if we're going to need it yet. And I haven't decorated any walls or stairs up to that yet because I'm not entirely sure how we're going to lay this area out. I want the bulk of the processing to happen in this part of the building with all of the final items coming out this way. And I've realized after going through all of the different things that we're going to be working on and processing that most of them require fans. Now, of course, we need crushing wheels for our sand and our clay balls. And we need basin presses to turn the sand into the sandstone and the cut sandstone and the clay once they're turned into bricks, into brick blocks. We also need crafting machines to create these windows, but everything else needs fans. Looking into my inventory, in order to make smooth sandstone, we need a fan to smelt them, we need a fan to smelt the sand into glass, we need fans to smelt the clay into bricks, we need fans to haunt the sand into soul sand, and then we need fans to turn that into that, and then we need fans to turn that into that, and then we even need fans to create windows. What? That's right, weathered windows are just washed iron windows. And Scorchia is just dye-washed Scoria. Really easy. So what I'm thinking is we do all of our crushing and our pressing and the other bits and bobs that need doing in this area. And then to bring everything out to finish it off, we can just have a big old row of fans blowing onto conveyors that come all the way out here. And then they can get taken away and put in our storage system. I think that should work. All I've got to do now is build it. And we should probably start with the crushing wheel. So if we was to bring the sand in at this point here, we could actually have a couple of sets of crushing wheels going in each direction. Something a little bit like this, we can actually bring the gravel up in the middle of these and send it out both ways to get turned into sand. That should process plenty of gravel. And if we wanted to, we can even build this up a second layer. At which point you might be starting to scream at the video going, but you're just copying Mr. Beardstone, that's what he did in his latest video to save space in his factory. Well, peeps, I think you might find I have done this before. So what's nice about this is this one goes that way and that one goes that way, and it's very compact and tidy. So, yes, I haven't stolen it from Mr. Beardstone. I have indeed stolen it from myself. So yes, now we can definitely do the crushing like that. Over here, we could potentially have a couple of different lines for our basin presses. Something a little bit like this. Of course, with the presses on top, that would make sense. And then that leaves us with this space at the back here where we could be using these auto crafters to generate our windows for us, which really wouldn't be too difficult to set up. And that means we don't actually need any of this upstairs at all, although I kind of like the idea that we do turn this into some sort of, well, something, maybe a little control room or something, or maybe we could even have the storage up here, but I kind of like the idea that it's going out that way. But yeah, I think this is pretty much all the space we need to do everything we want to do and create all of those items. So rather than me just throwing a few things down on the floor, I think it's time I actually got sorted and made this happen for real. So the first thing I'm going to need to do, of course, is to get power over here, and we do have power over here, and hopefully this power's not as unreliable as the other one. It's the same system, but yes, we've got loads of remaining capacity left because we're not using any. Now, I don't think I need this bit over here anymore, so let's get rid of that, and we'll actually take this properly underground this time so that we're not, you know, tearing up the desert on the way across. So let's get ourselves underneath here. Go down a few blocks till we actually get to the sandstone layers so we're not disturbing the sand above, and then we'll go across from here. Now, of course, I could put power lines in using the chain conveyors, but I don't want to do that. Underground shafts are absolutely fine. Until you find a little pocket of lava. That's not overly fine, so we're going to have to block that up. That's, yeah, a little bit of a problem, that. Oh, jeez. Why is there lava here? Go away. Stop being lava. And I've just got a little bit further to go. Oh, and there we are. We have found our destination. Excellent. Right. Good. So I just need to throw a few shafts in to get this connected all the way over. And then I just need to think about how I'm going to route it around in here to get it to go where I want it to go. We could go down into the very basement, but I kind of feel like we need to go up rather than down. I think a corner would be better, and then it's out of the way, isn't it? If we sort of went up maybe even in this corner, or maybe even behind the corner, and then we could come up through the walls where we would need it. Oh, but wait a minute. I actually left a 1-block gap in the middle of this thing purposely for putting power in. So I need to get it in there. And I think the best way of doing that is going to be to go round the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fall down there. I'm going to go along this way till we get to the very corner. There we go, and now we've got space around the back to get in, and this is the area where we want to bring it into the middle, and then we can go up. Okay, that's nice and easy. Which does beg the question, if I'm actually coming across at this point here, why am I going all the way round there and then back that way again? I might as well just do a route straight through. So here we go, even more digging. Oh, look, that was almost in line with exactly where we started, which means I no longer need these. I can replace those with an encased chain drive instead. And then just run this down here. We should probably cover up this hole so we don't end up falling down there by mistake. And then when we get to this point here, we can just throw in some more chain drive, put another temporary little floor in there, bring this across here, and now we're exactly where we wanted it. Marvelous. But of course this is going very slow, and we're going to want this factory on full power, but we are going to want our speed controller somewhere where we can actually control it. So I think for now, we'll just take this, run it into here, and then we can take that up through the floor over at this point. Maybe even right at the back there. Using a little bit of chain drive instead. Then we can box all that back in. And now we have power in our building. So let's get a speed controller on here. And now we can take it wherever we want. And I want it up there. So I think what I'm going to do is bring it up either side of the speed controller to the ceiling up here, spin those top two ones around, and then I'm going to run shafts alongside the girders all the way down the top of this building. And after adding a few brackets on, this thing looks like it's supposed to be there, and now we can access that power from anywhere we like in here by just teeing off on it. And we're going to be teeing off and going through there, which means I need to break into one of these, throw a gearbox on there, and then if I run a little bit of shaft from that, we can take that through that wall, throwing on a couple more brackets, of course, to make it look good. Bit of casing on there. And then when I go upstairs, we should be able to now access that from the corner down here in this room. There it is, look. So we just take that there, stick on a vertical gearbox, and now we have power. Now it's encased. But it's not very pretty, is it? We need to snazify it. And by snazify it, I mean make it all look the same color as everything else. So we're going to make all of the... Oh, okay. Do I have to get rid of that first before I can snazify it? There we go, it's snazified. Yeah, I want all of this to match the same colors of what we've got going on everywhere else. Let's snazify the gearbox. Let's snazify all of this chain drive. So we'll just do the ones at this end as well. Make sure they're all snazzy. And of course, there's that little one that I put in over here. We need to snazify that by putting one of these on there instead. And there we go. Can I snazify this? I can block that up. I cannot snazify the speed controller though, and I don't really like that being there like that. So that can stay unsnazzed. And now we've got power. And it matches what we're doing. It all looks like it blends in. This is wonderful. Excellent. So now we've got our power in here, let's get these crushing wheels actually going. And for that, I'm going to need this backpack because this has got all of my storage drawers and trim and things. And I'm going to have to make some more snazzified trim as well. But we'll worry about that in a minute. For now, we're just going to use... Oh, actually, we'll have to worry about that now because I haven't got any trim. Oh, you guys are out, are you? I see. Come to play. No, thank you. Oh, thank you for the junk. No, thanks. So for this, we're going to need our framing saw on... What? Oh, my goodness me. I'm trying to work here, buddy. We don't all get a day off like you. Oh, my... Where are you coming from? Have I just spawned a big pack of the husky fellows? Anyone else? Oh, yeah, there's you. Oh, jeez. And some very strange-looking cactuses kicking around here as well. I keep my eye on you and get rid of you. Right. Anyway, framing saw. Let's take it inside, where we're going to get less chance of being beaten to death. or poisoned or made hungry. Right, you go there. Now I need some oak trim. I put the oak... No, it's not the framing saw. It's the framing table I need. And that's back at my base. So we'll make a new one. And we'll throw that there. Of course, the framing saw is from framed blocks and the framing table is from storage drawers. And we're using storage drawers. So I didn't need that at all. But what I can do now is I can go to this. I can throw my oak trim on there and then a block of industrial iron. And then I get frame trim. But I'm going to need a lot more oak trim than that. So let's see how much we can make. We can make 160. I didn't need 160. Oh, well, we got it now. So let's throw a whole bunch of those on there and we'll have as many as we can get. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add some frame trim here with a drawer controller IO on top, another one there and another one there like that. And I'm going to do that in the middle as well, just like this. And then I'm going to do it at this end here, just like this. And now we've got that system pretty much ready to go. But it's not very snazzy, is it? Let's make it very snazzy. We'll snazzify the whole thing. Now, we could even make the crushing wheels snazzified, but I think we've got to craft those from scratch to do that. For instance, if we wanted these black ones... Oh, no, we can just put some with some blackstone? What? Tell me I've got blackstone. Must have it squirreled away in one of my bags, surely. No, it's at home. But I do have deep slate. And with the deep slate, we can put that with those and we can make the deep slate crushing wheels, which also look nice. So we'll have those. Which means I can get rid of all of the other crushing wheels that are currently on here. Snazzify that one because I forgot. And let's make them all snazzy. Very nice. So now I just need to put all of the crushing wheels back on. Just like that. Wow, doesn't that look very industrial? Kind of a bit. We'll decorate it, make it look nicer soon. And now with a few different funnels, we're going to be taking out of these ones in the middle and then putting into these ones at the end. But we're actually not, because if we're taking out of there, that's going to go through there. These ones are going to run in the opposite direction, which means we're actually going to be taking out of there and putting into there. So we've just got to do opposites on these, and that should work absolutely fine. Of course, all of these are going to need telling that they want gravel as the filters, so let's just throw those on. But now we just need to attach power and make sure it's going to go in the right direction. Which is exactly why I never turned the power on any faster than it was currently going, because I want to be able to see that these things are going in the right direction. And there we go. Attaching the chain drive shows that, yes, that's going in the right direction. And that's going in the right direction. We just need to connect these ones at the front. So we'll grab a little bit more chain drive down here, but that's going to make those go in the same direction, and I want those to go in opposite directions. So instead, what we can just do is throw a few gearboxes in there, and now they go in opposite directions. No, they don't. They're going in the same direction. All right, we'll get rid of that and we'll pop that there then. There we go. Now they're going in opposite directions. And we'll snazzify those, make those look nice. So now that's going out that way, and this one should, yep, be going in this way. Excellent. But of course, no gravel's going to come out because I haven't set up a storage system yet. For that, we're going to need a controller, which I don't have. Oh, there's one here, though. I could just steal this. Don't need you anymore. And of course, we're going to need this ender chest because that's going to link to our gravel from our main storage system. Now I've got to decide where I actually want this storage, and I'm in two minds. As much as this is where I want the output of the factory to come from, I'm kind of thinking I want the storage upstairs with a little control room to sort of see what's going on, but that kind of messes up my plan for downstairs a bit. I suppose we could have this as the loading area where the gravel comes in. Pretend, obviously, it's coming in through this ender chest here. It's not coming in from anything else. But we could do that. And then everything else is... Oh, no, because then I have to move everything. We could have the crushing wheels that have to go. No, we're going to keep it as we are. But I think I am going to have the storage system up here. Probably not blocking the window. There. If we're going to have a storage system up here, we're going to need some storage drawers. And we need to snazzify these as well. Let's make some industrial iron frame drawers. Why not? And then if we throw these around this here like this, we're going to have a nice wall of very dark looking storage drawers. Because we are going to be using an ender chest to feed the items into the crushing wheels, one way I could do that would be to have a storage drawer with an ender chest above it and then some chutes going into there to fill that up, which will work absolutely fine, but I don't want to keep a whole bunch of gravel here because I'd rather it stayed where it was. So I could change how much we can actually fit in here with some form of upgrade, which is probably a good thing to do, or I could actually put ender chests here, and up here as well, all matching that one, so that we're just taking directly out of those. But I kind of like the look of that, so we're going to go with the chute theory, and that means I need a Flint storage downgrade, and what this does is it means that that can only hold one stack of items, and I want that in the middle here where it makes more sense. So we'll throw that there, and we'll put this gravel chest that I've just made there. We'll tell it we want the gravel in there. We'll lock everything else so we can't get any more in there. And then when I grab a smart chute and throw that onto there, that's going to fill that up. But now we've got a bigger problem, because that can only take 64 items out of a time out of the ender chest, which means once I've taken those out, they do go in very quickly. But is that going to be quick enough to keep up with these down here? There's only one way to find out, and that means we've got to link these up to our storage system. And it looks like, conveniently for me, I've built that directly above there. Yes, I have. So we'll use a bit of our frame trim just to connect those there. That's going to connect those three. And then we'll just bring that across the top over here like this to connect those three, and more across the top there to connect the rest. And now we should be creating, very, very slowly, a whole bunch of sand. Just wait for it. Come on, any minute now. Wow, it is slow. Maybe I should turn the speed up a bit. But anyway, yes, we're going to need a sand drawer for the sand to actually come into. So let's pop that there for now and take that back out. And then we can see if we're actually generating any. And in order to do that, I need to go and make that speed control a whole bunch faster. On your marks, get set, go. Now we should be generating plenty of sand, plenty quick enough. And flint. So we're going to need one of these for flint as well. There we go. That can go into there. And we're making clay as well. So let's grab our clay and we'll throw that into there. And now we should be motoring. We should be generating plenty of the stuff. Keep around this. This is not going down because it's being restocked from the other place. And we can see it is going through quick enough. That's absolutely fine how fast that's feeding back in. So we're not going to be slowing down too much from this. All I want to do now with this is just make it look a bit nicer. And I think because we've got all of this space in here, I'm actually going to make individual rooms for each thing and have each thing in its own room. And in order to do that, I actually need to make this floor a little bit wider so that we can have a wall there that still allows us access to get... Oh, geez. I haven't left myself a great deal of room here, have I? Perhaps if I moved it all back a block, we'd have a bit more room to get down the side. I'm just going to be a minute. And there we go. We now have a room with our crushing wheels in, and we've got a little door. We've got some copper pipe around the top to bring some of that copper sort of orangey glow back to this thing so it doesn't look all just completely grey and dark. And it should work perfectly if I just spin that one round there. There we go. It's all kicked off again. And it should now be running, but it's not going to do anything at all because we've already filled up our sandbox. Of course, I'm going to need to put upgrades in these to allow them to hold a lot more than what we're currently allowing. But before I do that, I actually want to make sure that we've got all of our machines working and working how they want to, so we're not just amassing huge quantities of things that we're realistically never going to need. And speaking of sand, we might have 2,048 of it there, but we've also got a whole bunch of it out here that we need to get rid of as well. There's another 5,000 there. So I should probably empty all of these things, or at least the ones we're going to be keeping, into the storage system in there so we've got things to work from. So I should probably dedicate a couple of drawers for those things, throw on some more storage controllers, grab myself some more chutes, and then I can just stick these on top of here for now. I know I could actually use these ones instead of those ones, but I don't wanna. I'm just gonna do that because it's nice and easy for now. That one's already sorted, so that's good. That means we can just wait until we've got through all of these things before we start feeding any more into the system. And speaking of feeding more things into the system, of course, we've got to do our next stage of processing now, which might as well be the basin press to start turning some of that sand into the sandstone that we've already got. So I'm basically going to do exactly what I've done on this side of the building, but over here, making a little room with all the basin presses in, make it all look nice, and then I'll show you it once it's done. And there we go. We have another room opposite this one. It just needs the glass putting in now, which is now done. And inside, if we look in here, we can see we've got our 3 basin presses set up with our 3 presses above them. We've got these funnels coming out of here, out of these drawer controllers. This has sand, sandstone and bricks being turned into sandstone, smooth sandstone and, well, bricks. And then they're just going back into the storage system from there. And if I spin this round, they're going to all turn on and start making us what we need. Which means I need to now go up to our storage system and make sure that we're not overfilling things. Ah, yes, they're going to start going back into these ones, which we don't want because they're connected. So let's just move that out of the way because we don't need that right now. We can pop that down there. Now they're no longer connected to our storage system, which means once that's filled up, we should stop creating sandstone. And that is the first 2 sections of our factory completely done. We've just got the fan system to set up and then a bit of auto crafting. This is easy. So for our fans, there's a few different things we need to do. Starting with smelting, we need to smelt our sandstone into smooth sandstone. We also need to smelt our sand into glass. We need to smelt our clay balls into bricks, and we need to smelt our soul sand into scoria. We need to wash our windows, which we haven't crafted yet, into the weathered windows, and we need to haunt sand into soul sand. We also need to use a dye wash to create the Scorchia, and then we need 16 more dye washes to create all the different coloured of stained glass. So altogether, there's going to be 16 plus 7 fan machines. That's a lot of fans. 23 by my maths. So, yeah, how am I going to lay that out? And have I got enough? I have 9. And I've run out of iron sheet to make more because I spent it on all of my girders. Jeez, I need to go. See, this is why I need this workshop for my iron sheet. I need a workshop down here because I've only got 1 iron press back at my... Oh, jeez. Could I just make a temporary one very quickly? I could do that. We'll have our inputs at this end. Let's say we have 4 lanes of it, and then we can have our outputs at that end. We'll just have a belt coming in this way so that we can actually just get them all out into a very simple little box at the end. Bring our belts across here like this. Lovely job. And then if we just run some more belt that way down there like that, and can stick one of those there, one of those there, throw a chest there and a chest there, put a bunch of presses across here like this, put a shaft in that one there so we can have some chain drive to power those, and then we just need to power these belts. We have power over here. We might as well just take it down this corner over this way. Just smash a hole in there and another one there. Throw a bit of that there. Stick a gearbox on there. That's going in the right direction. That's good. So if I then do that and then do that, they're all going to go in the right direction. That's also good. And what if I do that and do that? And that goes in the right direction. Excellent. But we actually don't want it to go this far. We need all of those diverted onto there. And for that, I believe we could use tunnels. Potentially. It's still going to come out the back here though, so we don't want to do that. In that case, what we'll do is a very simple double chest system. We'll just add 2 double chests there. We'll stick some funnels on each one of these. We need to stop anything going this way by sticking a block there, I guess. I suppose they can still go underneath it though, can't they? Oh, geez. We're actually going to need to bring this out a block further forward because I can't get a funnel on the back. We'll stick funnels on those there. We need a funnel going in there. And now what if actually I bring that belt back that way, get rid of that and make that shorter, so we definitely can't have anything going off the end. And then if I put a gearbox there, that's going to go the wrong way. Of course it is. However, if I put 2 gearboxes there, a shaft in there, and a shaft there, that's going to go the right way. Then I can stick my single chest onto there, and then we'll have a funnel that way, and we want 4 at a time coming through here. And hopefully that will work. Maybe. It might be a bit higgledy-piggledy, but we'll find out. We stick a stack of iron ingots in there. Yes, they're only going to come through the first 2 because those first 2 funnels are going to get everything. So, in fact, tell you what, let's just allow that to have any amount go through. Stick a few of these things in here and see what happens. Not my belts! Oh, geez, too late. My belts have gone. No, it's all gone into there. What if behind those funnels instead we have tunnels? Will this work? And then we can put those on forced split. That might work. Let's throw a stack in. Yes, it works. I can't believe that actually worked. That's amazing. In that case, I probably only need 1 thing going in there, which means that we can put everything back to how it was originally. And get rid of that, extend that belt, put the gearbox back in there, reduce the length of that belt, get rid of that, pop that there instead, stick that chest on there, and then we stick the brass funnel on there. Now we can set this to 4 at a time, at least 4 at a time, just in case there's less than 4 in there. And now if we throw a stack in, there we go. Now we are creating 4 at a time. That's amazing. But we did get one over here. That's annoying. Okay, what we'll do is we'll just dig a little bit round here like this. Don't worry about it, peeps. It's all good. Put a bit of chain drive there like that. Then that there like that. And then if we do that on top, ha! Now we can't get stuck down the back. Now we can grab a whole bunch of iron and get this pressed very quickly. And of course, it all needs snazzifying. Put a few of these at the back just to stop it being a hole down there, and now everything is snazzy. Good, that is all complete. Let's grab all of that, stick it into my backpack, and now I should be able to make a whole bunch of propellers. Yes, I can. And then I should be able to make a whole bunch of fans. Yes, I can. Excellent. Now we've got all the fans that we need. Let's go build a big old fan system. So 23 fans then. How am I going to lay this out? We could 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do 7 across there and have those all blowing out this way like I originally wanted. And then what we could do is have maybe a gap between them and then have another 7 across here. That would be 14, which is not enough. Alternatively, what we could do is have them along here. If we just run a big old line of them all the way down here, we can't quite fit it in the space that I want it to fit in. Done. Okay. We could try and squeeze all of the stained glass in up here instead, so that it's not getting in the way down there, and when we can just have our normal stuff down there. If we did 16 fan things up here, we could potentially have 8 across there like that, and then another row of them up here with 8 across there like that. We could just about squeeze that in, I think. Possibly. We need the space for the power at the back. Then we need space for our fan catalysts, which are going to be doing the, well, holding the water or whatever it is for these particular things. Oh, that's a point. I don't know if I can use fan catalysts for the dye things. And I don't know if I can use dye in leaf blocks either. That's something we need to figure out. But assuming I could, because we don't need millions of stained glass, it's not like I need to have absolutely hundreds of them all being done at once. Don't forget, this world is just for me, and chances of me actually using anything other than grey or black stained glass, maybe white stained glass, are very slim. And then all we need at this point here is another row of those with our storage interfaces on to get those out. But now we've got absolutely no way of getting the items on. I didn't think about that. So we can't really stack them up like this. That's not going to work. In which case, before I get too carried away trying to come up with another design, let's figure out what we can actually do with these buckets of dye. Which probably means I guess I'm going to need a cauldron. I assume this is how we make buckets of dye. Let's grab some black dye, throw the cauldron down, put water in it, dye it black, pick it back up again. No. How do I get a bucket of dye? I have to squirt it! Can I not just pick a bucket up? Okay, world interaction. So maybe not in a cauldron then. What if instead we make an infinite water source, color it in? No. Huh. We can use a mixer. Okay. Well, that's nice and easy. There we go. That's our mixer going. Throw in a bucket of water, throw a piece of dye in, throw a few more pieces of dye in. There we go. And now pick it up. Now we've got a bucket of black dye. Excellent. Now, question 1. Can we waterlog them in leaf blocks? We cannot. Can I use it on an empty fan catalyst? I cannot. But I can use water on there, and I can use water in there. Okay, that means this is going to be significantly more tricky because I can't... Maybe I can have them next to each other. Wait a minute. Let's just craft ourselves some blue dye. Throw ourselves down a very temporary infinite water source so that we don't run out of water. Fill that back up. Realise I didn't make enough blue dye. Throw it all in there. Pick it up. And then, if I was to just make a little bit of a temporary little system like this, can I put them next to each other and they don't mix? I can. Okay. Then we can have a quite compact system then. Excellent. Oh, well, that's very good. We just need to figure out where we're going to have this compact system, I guess. And I think I definitely want my main ones coming out this way still. I've decided that ages ago for no particular reason other than that's what I want to do. So let's just put the 7 things that are the main ones there. That's where they're going to be. That's where they're going to output to, which means we need to then get the other ones in an area where they can all fit together. And I think potentially what we could do is do that along here on both sides of this. I'd rather this was upstairs, but I kind of didn't want to put the floor all the way across. And that does make sense to do that. Okay, so we'll put a floor in upstairs, covering the entire thing. Then we can have the stairs going up and down there into that hallway. And we'll do basically this. I think it might be time-lapse time. And there we go. We now have what should be a completely fully functional stained glass farm. At least it should be. Should be being the operative term. I'm not sure if it actually works. I haven't tried it yet. And of course, we haven't actually got any glass in the system. But I do have a bit of glass in my inventory, which we could test with. But before we do that, I just want to show you that we have got the ceiling in here. I do need to do a little bit of tidying up on this edge because that looks a little bit rough. And I've added a staircase in here with a little bit of handrail as well, just to keep this nice and safe. I've also added on a few more storage drawers on here, so we've got plenty of room for all of the things we need. But before we do anything, the first thing I should probably do is throw in a couple of stacks of glass into this thing and see what happens. So they should have gone into this system. Now, if I move these back, if I move these ones back, we should be able to see which ones have actually got glass in, and that one has. And hopefully we'll start seeing some actually get dyed, but it's very difficult to see what's going on, and it doesn't look like we're actually dyeing anything. In fact, that one's getting some orange particles on it, which is slightly concerning, because I put the fans at the very end to blow through everything rather than one for each one, and I don't know if this is going to work. Oh, it has, but it's dyed the one beyond the one, if that makes sense. So really what I need to do is, instead of having one fan pushing down the entire thing, I need to have a fan above each one of these instead. I think I've done it. We've now got fans across the top, and if I look through this gap here, we can see that we have all of the different colours going through there, which is great. And that means that the stained glass farm is completely done. And somehow I'm managing to create suspicious sand. I don't know what's going on here, but I accidentally run this the wrong way round, and we somehow managed to get suspicious sand in here, which seems a bit cheaty. It's not showing me that there is a recipe for it, but there must be, because otherwise how would I have got so much of it? I think all of that needs to get thrown in the bin. I do not want cheaty, suspicious sand. So we've now got almost everything in place. We just need the auto crafting system set up to make the windows, and of course we need our 7 fans set up for making all of these blocks. And that really is going to be ridiculously easy. So I think I should just crack on with it and see how we get on. Let's do this. So this is basically what I was thinking, or at least this is what was in my mind. We would have this multi-fan blower blowing out through this port on the side of our factory. But even though it just about squeezes in and should do exactly what we want it to do, I don't like it. It seems too bulky. It blocks the access for us being able to get out, apart from this tiny little bit here, which I guess we could probably put a wall round and block this off, putting in a little access door to the side here to get through, so we could make that look intentional. But I don't know if I just want this bit just blowing out here randomly to the outside where everything else is going on inside the building. Because the alternative is we go back upstairs with this thing and we make it significantly smaller and squeeze it all in up here. There's no reason we couldn't have a 4-wide little fan system dropping the items out there with the fans above up here, facing the right way, of course. They would then come up so that we could bring our items on from below, go across a couple of blocks where the fan will blow on them, and then we can take them back into the storage system at this point here. And that would fit in this little area here quite nicely. And it would do, in fact, more than everything we want to do, because we only need 7 of these. And that means by having 8, we can actually double up on one of the items, and we'd probably do that for glass, seeing so we're using a whole bunch of it to turn into stained glass. We're not going to need loads of Scorchia, we're not going to need loads of Scoria, we're not going to need that many windows or soul sand, so yeah, it would make sense to up the glass. So that's what I'm thinking. But if I do that, then what would I do down here? And that's where you guys come in. Give me some comments on what you think I should do with this bit, and bear in mind that I am going to be turning the underneath of this building into my personal workshop and transport hub. If you remember from the last episode, this little area here leads itself nicely to some sort of hyperloop system where we could travel around the world without trains or monorails, or we could build a monorail, or something else. We could have vehicles down here that go around. But anyway, yes, I'm planning on turning the underside of this factory into my personal workshop, because the workshop in our starter area is way too small, so we could adopt some of the internals of this factory for that as well, or we could just decorate here. We could have piles and pallets of all of the things that we're producing, and maybe even an easy access port to get some of the items out nice and quickly. Have a think about it and let me know in the comments, while I dismantle this and build it again upstairs, leaving this entire area completely empty. And so just a couple of minutes later, we now have this setup up here, and I believe we've got everything in that we need. We've got a whole bunch of smelters over here that's going to smelt our sand into glass, as well as our soul sand into the Scoria, and also our sandstone into the smooth sandstone. Are you guys, unnecessary, totally unnecessary. Over on the other side, we have our clay balls being smelted into bricks, our sand being washed into soul sand, our windows, which we still haven't crafted, into the weathered windows, and then we are colouring in our Scoria into Scorchia. So we've got everything we need setting up right here. And hopefully when I turn on the power, something should happen, but not a lot, because we haven't set up the drawers over there. Yes, we've got the clay going through, we've got our window. We don't have any sand coming through for some reason. I guess did we turn all of our sand into sandstone? Yeah, we've got no sand in the system at all. No, thank you. No, you little... I can't have anything, can I? Nothing. I can't have anything. And I'm pretty sure I had it on creepers don't destroy blocks, but all the blocks is gone. But yes, also, why are we not creating any sand? We've got no gravel. But I turned the gravel off. That would make sense. Derp. There we go, we would never know the creeper's been here. Right, okay, so we are now producing everything that we need to produce. How's this getting on now? Yes, we've got sand going through, that's getting smelted into glass. We've got soul sand being smelted into Scoria. We are making smooth sandstone, that's good. The clay is going through and getting turned into bricks, and we're even getting the soul sand being haunted. But of course, we've got no windows and no Scorchia, because I'm assuming we don't have places for those in here. Oh, I did, I set everything up already. So it's all working then. We have got nowhere near enough clay, which means we've got nowhere near enough bricks, which means we've got nowhere near enough brick blocks. So I guess I've got some sorting out to do in terms of tweaking the values and putting upgrades in the storage drawers so that we get plenty of everything that we want. But before I do any of that, the first thing I want to do is build our window manufacturing system. In order for us to create our industrial iron windows, it's a very simple job. We just need 3 blocks of industrial iron and a whole bunch of glass, which we're now producing. But where are we going to get the industrial iron from? Well, the industrial iron comes from stone cutting an iron ingot. You get 2 of those for every iron ingot you've got. That just needs a mechanical saw, which is all good, but where are we going to get the iron from? Now, I've got loads of iron to preload the system, probably more than I'll ever need in terms of how many windows we'll get, but it would be nice to have that automated, a little iron farm to supply that, and I think I know just the place to get one. And that place is back over at the starter area where we abandoned this train car, which actually produces iron. It's an iron farm in a train car, and it can be converted into a train. That means we can put it on the track, drive it to the desert, park it up somewhere near our little factory, and that can just sit there producing as much iron as we need. This doesn't look weird at all. And moving forward a little bit, I've now connected this to power as well as our storage system. As you can see, I've replaced the drawer controller for an interface, and we can see all of the things that we've got in storage over there, which means that iron is now available inside of our factory. So that means there's no reason we can't start creating these windows. But where are we going to do it? I've kind of run out of space in the areas that I actually wanted to work in, and it's really not going to take up that much room. We could probably squeeze the little saw system in here, and then maybe the autocrafter over here. That should work. Well, that was easy for turning our iron ingots into the blocks of industrial iron. All I've got to do is connect this shaft here, and yeah, there we go. We've done it. So now we just need those autocrafters. And just a couple more minutes later, we now have the final piece to this puzzle. We have an autocrafter, which I've made bigger than it needs to be. The crafting recipe for these windows only requires 4 crafters. However, in order to make this thing as speedy and as efficient as possible for a single crafter design, by adding in these corner pieces, it means I can link all of these crafters together, keeping them separate from this one. And that means around the back of this thing, we have a mechanical arm that is going to be taking industrial iron 3 at a time from this depot, and on the other side, there's a depot that's going to have 1 glass at a time. The industrial iron will go into this funnel, and that will fill all 3 of these at the same time, and then it will put the glass into there, filling that one up. And by doing that, we only have to rely on 2 mechanical arm actions rather than 4. So that means if I connect this to that, then this should hopefully engage. There we go, there's the industrial iron, and there's the glass, and there we go. Now we're making windows. If we check around the back of this here, you should be able to see this thing happening. Apparently we don't have enough glass though for this to run. Let's just pop through here. No, we're completely out of glass, which is understandable because we're using it all to make stained glass at the moment. But once the stained glass all fully fills up, we'll have plenty of glass. And there we go, the glass has all filled up, which means we've still got hardly any windows, because we've got hardly any iron. But as you can see, the crafter actually has some glass in it now, and the reason we've hardly got any iron is because the iron farm that I brought over here is very, very slow. It generates a few nuggets at a time, and it takes an awful long time for it to fill up and get going. But that's absolutely fine because this thing doesn't need to generate massive amounts of items really, really quickly. It can just sit here running, and over time I'll generate a load of every single thing that I need. And speaking of, I do need to now put upgrades in all of these drawers so that we can maximize our bricks and our clay and get rid of all of the flint that we don't want. But what do we want voiding? Well, we definitely don't want flint. That can go away. But we're already voiding flint, believe it or not, because the iron farm outside also has a flint box on it with a void upgrade. But I guess we can void it twice, or we could just take this out of here completely and not have to worry about it at all. In which case, I can have my void upgrade back, and we can empty those out because we don't need them. But now we've got a gap. Oh, geez. We're also not using this box here, so let's get rid of that one. And we'll just throw in a couple of pieces of industrial iron there to block that off. Of course, we need to have plenty of scope to have plenty of glass and sand in here. So let's put maybe 4 upgrades in there, another 4 in there. We want to be able to keep as much industrial iron as possible, so let's put 4 in there. I think having 2048 of all of the stained glass and the windows is more than enough, and the sandstone as well. I'm never going to need more than that unless I ended up doing another big old desert village structure, which is very, very unlikely. And if I do need to do that, we can always increase the amounts we can generate at that point there. Scoria and Scorchia, on the other hand, are quite useful for making nice decorative blocks out of. So I think we'll stick a couple in there and a couple in there, and we'll even have a whole bunch in the soul sand so that we can use that later on for a little bit more gold and quartz and other things like that. Which means we just need to stick a couple in the bricks, a couple in the clay, and a couple in there, and that should be more than enough for absolutely everything. And I don't think we need to void anything else off. One thing that has occurred to me while looking at our storage system is that we weren't generating clay, and that means once all of the sand things were absolutely full, we wouldn't generate any more clay, which means we would never finish our bricks. And the way I've resolved that is to just wash some of the sand into clay balls instead of having 2 sand smelters into glass, which means that will slow our glass down significantly. However, we've got more than enough stained glass to last me a lifetime, so I really don't see that as being a big problem, and that means that all of our 8 fan system are now fully utilized, which is amazing. So in the next episode, we should have plenty of stuff.